Hey up everyone, welcome back to the Rugby League History channel. I hope you're all well. Tonight I'm going to be giving you me round 10 tips for the NRL 2020 season. Last week I got 5 out of 8 right. A couple of teams let me down, but the week before that I got a perfect round. So let's hope we can get back up there, get 7 out of 8 or maybe a perfect round. The first game for this week is Eastern Suburbs, or people know them now as the Sydney Roosters, up against Canberra. This game is being played at the Sydney Cricket Ground. The old lady, the hallowed tier for the Sydney Cricket Ground. This is the grand final rematch from last year. Canberra lost last week against Melbourne, and Eastern Suburbs beat North Queensland quite convincingly. Now, Canberra's had a lot of players out. They've had you can see a horror year in a way. They've had the John Bateman thing, they've had the Kater Scott thing. Josh Hodgson's out for the year, Soliola's out. East have actually been really, really good since the coronavirus restart. And I'm going to go for Eastern Suburbs to win this game on Thursday night. The next game is Melbourne against the Gold Coast, and this match is being played at the Sunshine Coast Stadium. So it's going to be a home match for Melbourne. And really, in fact, it is a home match for Melbourne because most of their players are Queenslanders, and some of them, I believe, are from that region, and they also have a feeder relationship with the Sunshine Coast Falcons. And they're up against the Gold Coast side, which won last week against New Zealand. In this match, though, I'm going to go for Melbourne. I think they're going to be too strong over the Gold Coast, and they're going to get the job done. The next game on Friday night is going to be West Tigers up against Brisbane. This one's being played at Leichhardt Oval. This is the main game on the Friday. West were very poor against South last week. They didn't show up, I believe. I tipped them to win, and they didn't really show up until the latter stages of the match. And Brisbane got their first win in a very long time over a struggling Canterbury. For this match, I'm going to go for West to win this game. I think even though that they're not going to be playing in front of a full complement of fans, I think still the home ground advantage and the fact that Michael Maguire has fired a rocket up the team, he's dropped Luke Brooks, I think that's going to do something with West. And with West, they're kind of like a tap or a light switch. They're off and on, hot and cold, hot and cold. So I think this is the week where they're going to be due for a win, and I think they're going to get the job done over Brisbane. The first match on Super Saturday is going to be St George against Canterbury Bankstown, and this match is being played at the Wollongong Showground, Wynn Stadium. St George had a great win over Manly last week, and Canterbury went from bad to worse, lost against Brisbane. They're currently 4 points behind the Gold Coast in last place, and they're in real danger of getting their first wooden spoon since 2008. This is a rivalry match, so form goes out the window. There's plenty of feeling between St George and Canterbury. It's a rivalry which goes all the way back to 1935. Both clubs don't particularly like each other. Dean P resigned during the week. He quit the club, so they've got Steve George-Jarlason as the temporary coach. I'm going to go for St George to win this match. I think with the crises happening at Canterbury and Brisbane, they've kind of gone underneath the radar. They've got some problems themselves, but the media's kind of taken their attention away from St George, and I think that's helped them a bit. And they've actually been playing all right the last month or so I think they're going to continue that against Canterbury. The next match on Super Saturday is South Sydney against Newcastle, and this match has been played at the Western Sydney Stadium. South had that win over West last week, and Newcastle had a narrow loss against Parramatta. For this particular match though, I'm going to go for Newcastle to win. I think that they were a bit unlucky last week against Parramatta. It could have been 10-all, could have gone to golden point if Tex Hoy wasn't in front of the kicker. I think Newcastle played all right last week, and I think that they'll be burdened to go out there and to right a few wrongs from last week, and I think they'll beat South. And the final match on Super Saturday is Manly Warringah against Parramatta. This match has been played at Brookfield Oval. Parramatta, as I said, just had that win over Newcastle, very narrow win, and Manly were pretty poor against St George. For this match, I'm going to go for Parramatta to win. I don't think it's going to be a blowout scoreline like some other people have predicted. I think it's going to be a lot closer. You have to remember this is a rivalry match as well. Form goes out the window. You can see that there's a bit of ill feeling between both sets of players. It's a rivalry which goes back 30 or 40 years now, and I'm expecting another tough game on Saturday night. But I'm just going to tip my club Parramatta just to beat Manly narrowly. I think it's going to be 1 to 12 points will beat them. And on Sunday, the first game is New Zealand against Cronulla Sutherland. This match has been played at the Central Coast Stadium. Cronulla lost heavily last week against Penrith, and the Gold Coast beat New Zealand. New Zealand really should have won the match, but they ended up losing. I'm going to go for Cronulla to win this match. I think last week, although it was disappointing, I think they'll bounce back from it. They're still capable of scoring points, even though they conceded 56 against Penrith. They did score about 24 points, I think. So scoring points isn't really an issue for Cronulla, because the last few weeks before that they scored, I think, 30 and 40 points. I think they're just going to be a bit too good for New Zealand on this occasion. I'm going to predict Cronulla to win. And the final match on Super Sunday, or Sunday afternoon, some people call it, is Penrith against North Queensland. This match has been played at the Penrith Stadium. I think it's the first home match for Penrith have had this year. I'm not too sure, but I think it might be. As I said, Penrith had that great win last week, and North Queensland got smashed by Eastern Suburbs. I think this match could finish in a cricket score. I think if Penrith show like they did last week against Cronulla, and they play against North Queensland, and if North Queensland are the same way as they were against East, I'm predicting a cricket score. I think Penrith are going to win this game, and they're going to win it well. So that's me tips for round 10 of the 2020 NRL season. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, click that like button. If you're enjoying the content that I'm making, click that subscribe button. Click that notification bell so you get an email when I do a new video. As always, everyone, look after yourselves, enjoy the rugby league this week, and I'll catch you all later. Ta-ra.